Hi, welcome back to Mental Health Mamas. This is Cassie and Krista.
Hi, everybody.
This week we are talking about medications. Our kids are all on a bunch of different medications for a bunch of different diagnoses. We're going to touch base on those things, tell you what they are, what they do, things we've tried that didn't work, and hopefully give you a little bit of insight on that process and how we came about making the decision to go ahead and do medications. This certainly won't touch on all the medications that are available out there. Not all medications work the same for everyone, so I just want to say that.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully this kind of helps you a little bit. So starting with Bryson, my 12-year-old, for his ADHD, he takes both stimulant and non-stimulant drugs. He takes Ritalin, guanfacine, which is Intuitive, and clonidine. The Ritalin is a stimulant medication that helps with focusing, kind of slowing down his brain, because kids with ADHD, their brain's kind of on hyperdrive all the time. This kind of just slows him down, lets him have like a normal thoughts, where he can, not get so overstimulated by it. And then his non-stimulant medications, they actually, what they do is they lower the blood pressure and they help with impulse control. So there's not such a desire to want to do things that he maybe shouldn't be doing. So he takes a lot of stimulant medication. He takes extended release in the morning, which is a 40 milligram pill. It releases in 2 doses. Takes about, from what I gather, about 40 minutes for the first release to really be active. And then it releases again, they say, in about 3 to 4 hours. So being 40 milligrams, he gets like a 20 first release and then another 20-second release. In the morning, he also takes instant release 20 milligram. So for a total of 40 milligrams in the morning, which that instant release takes about 20 minutes. And then in the afternoon, around lunchtime, he gets another 30 milligrams just to get him through the school day. Guanfacine, or the Intuitive, he takes in the morning, the non-stimulant with his methylphenidate. And then clonidine he takes before bedtime. We put him more on that to help him sleep because he's on so many doses of the stimulant. It can keep them awake for a really long time, and he was really struggling to fall asleep and to stay asleep. So that helps get him tired, kind of the same effect that people would get from like a melatonin.
Yeah.
So that's what he takes for his ADHD. We did try a different stimulant about 3 years ago. We tried Adderall. He was on it for only 1 week. Completely changed his personality. He went from like a pretty cool, calm, collected kid to like athlete on a lot of steroids. He was just like, I don't even know. I can't even describe it. It was just like, he was like throwing furniture. He was punching walls. He was just so angry on it. And I was like really taken back because it's just a stimulant medication. It's just that Ritalin is a methylphenidate base and Adderall is the amphetamine.
Right.
Which is supposed to be a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I was very hesitant on even trying the Adderall because it is more of a habit-forming medication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if they're on it for a long period of time, they're more likely to
become
addicted. A drug addict.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we, was hesitant about that anyways, but the doctor said, why don't we give it a try? Because at the time, his Ritalin really wasn't working as well as it used to. And I guess that was just from him growing so quickly that he was metabolizing the pill so fast.
Oh, okay.
So, we pulled him off of that in a week.
Yeah, I would have too. Yeah.
I was like, no, and the good thing about stimulants is they're in and out of your system
Yes.
the same day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like something we had to like wean him off of like a lot of other medication.
Yeah.
So that was definitely like a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my stepson takes Adderall and he's totally fine on it.
Yeah.
So
I guess it
it
just
really just
depends.
depends on the person.
Yeah.
And I think, they say that if you have bipolar, like so at that time he wasn't diagnosed with disruptive mood disorder, which is the child version of bipolar for those of you that may not know. They say certain stimulant medications can actually awaken bipolar.
Yeah, it can. Yep. That's what I was told too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And we didn't know Bryson had bipolar at
Right.
the time either.
Yeah.
But we certainly
You did.
certainly
You found out.
found out the hard way.
Yeah.
So it was kind of scary, but like, and even still after I like described like the side effect of Adderall to
Yeah.
the doctor after he was on it, there was like not even like a mention of like, oh well, maybe it's because he has bipolar.
Okay.
So we didn't even find out for like another almost year
Wow.
that he was diagnosed with that.
That's a long time.
Because the thing about disruptive mood disorder and ADHD is they can both show
The same.
rage fits
Yeah.
almost,
Mhm.
like extreme moodiness and like easily
Yep.
triggered fits.
Yep.
So they always just kept saying like, no, it's just ADHD, it's just ADHD. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, like, this is a lot more. Like,
Yeah.
you don't just, kids with ADHD don't just wake up and be like,
No.
so incredibly crabby.
Yeah.
And that's what he was like. He was just crabby every single day. And I was like, man, he's just waking up and he's like ready to fight.
Yeah.
And, and for people that don't know what the disruptive mood dysregulation disorder, that's exactly what it is. It's like constant irritability.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not something that just like comes in peaks. It's just all the time. And
Yep.
I really had to explain this, and like I actually like recorded him a couple of times like in these fits.
Yeah.
To show the doctor.
Because they get really severe. They can be very
Yeah.
severe, yes.
And
Yeah.
they, as a parent, when you go into like a doctor's office or a psychiatry office or whoever you're seeing for things, they kind of look at you like you're being dramatic.
Dramatic, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm like, no. So I had to like really show it, and then
Yeah.
Also had like his school fill out things,
Right.
and then he was diagnosed with it.
Is he regulated now that he's been on it?
So we didn't put him at anything for that until the end of last school year.
Okay.
And he started I can't remember what the name of it was. Oh, Abilify.
Oh, yeah. My
He
kids are on
started
that.
Abilify,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a medication. It's a mood stabilizer that it takes a little bit longer to build up in their system, so it's not like a stimulant or anything. So we
Right.
weren't sure like if it was going to work at first.
Mm-hmm.
But after like 3 weeks of him being on it, he was like more moody. So I was like, yeah, that's not working.
Oh, my
So,
gosh.
we went back to the drawing board, and I was like, listen, like this isn't helping.
I'm wondering if that's what's happening with Elijah because he's on Abilify, and it seems like he's more moody now.
Yeah. Well, and then we had to wean him off of it because you can't just. That's a medication. You
Yep,
can't just.
you can't
abruptly
just stop.
like a stimulant.
Yep.
So we had to like cut the pill in half for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then like he
And
was
then
able to
wean him
stop
off.
taking it.
Yeah.
So then once he was off of that, we started risperidone, which is another
Yeah.
mood stabilizer.
And Elijah can't take that because he's allergic.
Yeah.
Because that's the one he
So-
was on first.
Yeah, so it's really hit or miss with medication because you don't know, like,
No,
you
you
don't know
don't.
if they're allergic to it unless they take it. You don't know
No.
if it's going to work for the,
Mm-hmm.
however the reaction in their body is going to be. Like, you don't know that until
Yeah.
you try it.
Yep.
So he's been on the risperidone for a little while, and we started with a very low dose, and then we just have gradually, like, increased it. And since he's like 150 pounds, he can take like a pretty hefty amount. But right now we're just at 0.75 milligrams.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think we're gonna get up to like the whole
Probably. Yeah.
over the summer. And we have seen like, so like of course he still has like his moments.
Right.
He can still get into like that, those fits that we have talked about. But what we noticed the risperidone does help with is it helps those episodes not last as long. So before they could last for hours and hours. And it was just like constant like screaming and crying and like
sounds familiar to me.
People wouldn't believe it unless they
No,
saw it.
they wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't unless you recorded it and they saw it for themselves, because it's like something you just can't really put into words. Because it would last like, like Elijah would be going on and on for like 30, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour of it.
Oh, even longer here. Like, Bryson could go on for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, see, that's a lot.
And it was like, that's your whole day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you couldn't, if he was like in those moods, like we would just be like, okay, we're not doing anything today.
Right.
Like, we would have to just stay home. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't leave him alone.
That's us. Yep.
Yeah. And it was exhausting. The risperidone definitely has cut that down.
Yeah.
So, like, when he gets triggered and he goes into, like, his episode, it stops, like, within 30 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's with Elijah, too. It stops quicker now than it was before. But with the risperidone, I was really upset that we had to stop because he was allergic to it, because it was working. It's just he was getting the tics where his eyes would go like this all the time, blinking all the time. And then he also he's African American, so he would have white patches. He was getting all over his face and his neck, and it was just getting worse and worse. And it was like dry spots of skin, really bad, irritated. So, yeah, it was no good for him, so we had to get him off of it. But yeah, I get what you're saying, because the medications for DMDD are so important.
Yeah, it really is, especially like if you want your child to like live a semi-normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to be completely normal, but it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Because Bryson doesn't want to be like in those fits.
No, neither does Elijah.
Them, like, he's so depressed when he comes out of
That's
them.
how Elijah is too, and he feels really bad. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know why I did that. I don't, and Elijah's a lot younger than Bryson, and he's like, Elijah's 9 and Bryson's 12, right? So for Elijah, he just still doesn't understand at 9 why he gets these fits, and he's like, I can't help it. I really can't help it. And I feel so sorry. My heart breaks when he says that, because it's just like, I know he really can't help it, and it's really sad.
Even Bryson being 12, he still like doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's really sad for them. It really is,
it
because
really is. And they can't ever answer you like, well, what made you that upset?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. It's always, I don't know. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I got that upset. And then they are so sorry afterwards. Like, he's so sorry. Like, he'll cry and hug me and hug Dad or hug whoever he hurt. He's just so sorry for it. But yeah. And it's scary at times too, because sometimes, like Elijah right now, he's been having a lot more fits lately. So I don't know if they need to up his medication. Their appointment's actually this week, tomorrow. So I have to ask, because I don't know what to do, because he said he wants to tell her that he doesn't like that he's feeling this way more often again. He hates it.
No,
he hates feeling that way. And it's really sad, because when they know it and then they go through it, and it's like, it's just a horrible feeling. I just can't imagine feeling like that all the time as a kid, let alone, being an adult. So.
Right. Well, Bryson had one of his episodes on Friday, actually, and it kind of, like, they were upstairs in their rooms, all 3 of them, and my husband and I were just downstairs watching a movie, so we didn't really know what was. They were really quiet about it, so, like, usually like if there's an episode going on, it's really loud and we're like, what
Right.
the hell's going on?
Yeah.
That wasn't the case, but my stepson came downstairs and he was like, I can't sleep in that room with him. And we
Oh.
were like, why? What's going on? And
Yeah.
he's like, he's just being like so loud and he's like screaming at his game and he's just being mean. And we were like,
Mm.
okay. And now Hunter's usually like um, really easygoing with that stuff. Like he's really understanding and
Yeah.
no matter like what Bryson's done before, like he's like the first one to like accept the apology or like just kind of cope and deal with it.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, well, we're not going to force you to do something you want to do. So he has to sleep in my daughter's room. And so we like put a mat on the floor and his bed stuff. And I don't know, Bryson started to like come out of it. And he got really upset because Hunter was like, I don't want to be in there with you. Like, you really
Right.
annoyed me today.
Yeah.
So Bryson like couldn't grasp that concept like
Right.
at all.
Right.
And so he laid in my room on my floor and just sobbed.
Aw.
And I was like, listen, you always have tomorrow. And
Yeah.
you can start again.
Start
And,
new.
you
Yep.
know, like right now, he's mad at you. So, like, let him be. Like, you got to give people their space.
Yes. Yes.
You can apologize tomorrow.
Right.
So, after like an hour of crying and sobbing, like, he finally went into his room and he fell asleep.
Yeah.
And then the next day, they were fine with each other.
Yeah.
So that's like as quick as it is. But yeah, he was super apologetic, and it's always so sad, like when they come out of it, because Bryson's thing is always like, nobody wants me here, nobody loves me.
Oh, that's Elijah.
I'm just an idiot.
Yeah, that's what
And
Elijah says. All those things. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yep.
so sad. It's like,
It is.
I mean, as a parent, like I understand these things, but like I'm human too, and I get frustrated with it.
Right.
I get overwhelmed. Like I want to just like go take a break.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too. Yep.
And they always just want you
Yeah.
when they're like that, and you're like, I can't do this right now. You
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I know.
especially like having anxiety. Like I have anxiety. It
Yeah.
makes me very anxious when it gets like
Me
that.
too. Me too. I'm the same way, and I have
So
anxiety too. And it's like he wants to be like on top of me, and it's like I
yeah,
can't. I just can't. And it's
no,
like
I need like a
I need my
moment.
space.
Right.
Mom needs space now, you know, and he gets so frustrated because I need space, and it's like a whole another
Yeah.
thing. And it's just like, you just don't know what to do because
And that's exactly it. Like nobody has the perfect answer for
no.
anything.
Mm-mm.
And I'm the first person to others like don't get down on yourself because you can't be the perfect parent.
No.
But my own mom has to remind me constantly, like, it's okay for you to not always
Yeah.
be there and like loving and always wanting to be with your kids. Like you need breaks
You
too.
need breaks. Yep.
So like as much as we preach it, it's
Yeah.
harder for us to accept
It's hard to do it.
it.
Yeah. It's hard to
Yeah.
just do it. Yeah. It's like our break is like my oldest son watching them, and we go to the grocery store and go grocery shopping.
Hmm.
That's our break.
Yeah, and
Literally.
it's like
Like,
a vacation. It
yeah.
really is. And that sounds so crazy and maybe horrible to
No,
people
it's
that don't
not.
experience this
It's
kind of
not
stuff.
horrible, no. I mean,
But
I
it's
know
like,
lots of parents that do that, and they don't have
yeah, like you
troubled
need it.
kids. Yeah.
You cannot be with your kid 24/7. Like
Mm-mm.
everybody needs a break.
Yes.
Don't feel bad about taking the break. Like
Right.
your mental health is just as important as your
Oh,
kid,
yeah, absolutely.
if not more, because you need to be like on your game to help your kid.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
those breaks are important
Yeah,
for sure.
they are. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But with my kids, I have so many that are on medication that, well, I'll just start off with all of them are on guanfacine for the ADHD. They all are. They all have ADHD. So they're all on that, and they're all different milligrams because of the different weight,
For
height, size.
sizes, yeah.
Yes. But four of them, I'm sorry, no, they're not all on guanfacine. I take that back. Shay cannot be on guanfacine because her heart used to race with it. So she can't
So she
take
has the
that.
opposite effect
Right.
that most people have with it.
Yep. So she cannot take it. But The only one that they're all on slow release capsules. The only one that isn't is Chloe, because Chloe, we noticed that when she was on the slow release capsule that she was more hyper.
Yeah.
The one where she just takes it throughout the day, like she'll take it in the morning, and well, she takes one pill in the morning, one pill in the afternoon, which like is around 3:30, and then one before bed. She's better that way because it's in her system the way it needs to be, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
They just said that the other one was just not working for her. I guess some kids, that's what happens quite often, I guess they said. But yeah, I'm going to start with Chloe. Chloe's on. Now, I'm not as. I don't remember all the names because they're just very confusing for me. But Elijah and Chloe are on a mood enhancer, and it's called oxocarbazine. Oxcarbazepine. Okay, it's oxcarbazepine. Okay, but what it
Well, one
is,
thing.
it's very hard to say. Yeah, but what it is it's a mood enhancer, and this is new to us because they were never on mood enhancers all these years, and
Mm-hmm.
Elijah and Chloe with the DMDD, which is the bipolar disorder in children, have started it. Elijah started with it first. They added it to all of his medications because he was not doing well with just the Abilify. The Abilify wasn't enough for his bipolar disorder. So they added on the mood enhancer to try and help with his, because of the Respidone not being good for him because he was allergic. So this is what we have to stick with for now.
Yeah.
And the only thing though is with the Abilify, like I was telling you a little while ago, I was hoping that maybe she can up it because he's been having so many more frequent episodes again. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to be able to because of his height and weight. Because he's very small.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to happen. But him and he is on the but I just want to read you what it said because if people don't know what this is, it's basically just a mood stabilizer, and it's supposed to help with irritability, anger, and aggressive outbursts. So that's what this medication is for, and it does not stay in your system. So that's the other good thing about it that I like is that it doesn't stay in your
Yeah.
system. I don't have to worry about them getting weaned off. Because, like I said, we had an issue with Elijah. Elijah was taking it twice a day, which Chloe does take it twice a day. He was taking it in the morning and then again in the afternoon because we noticed he would start acting up again towards the afternoon, so he would have to take it again. But the problem with Elijah was that he was taking the one in the morning, and then by the time we got to the afternoon and we give him the afternoon one, his mood would get worse. He'd get more
Mm-hmm.
aggressive, more irritable, and we noticed it just kept happening, and I was like, something's not right. And when I mentioned it to the psychiatrist, she said, I can't believe you're saying this to me because we just had a meeting about this and we've been getting complaints about this medication and that it has been doing that to some of the children. So she said, you take, because I took it, we took it upon ourselves. I'm not telling anybody to do that, but we are so like into medications and knowing a lot about them. Plus, I have a therapist who comes, knows everything there's known about medications. She told me it was okay, so we took him the second pill. We took it away before his appointment to see the psychiatrist, and she said that was fine because this does not stay in your system, so it's not a big
Yeah.
deal if it was missed. So it was okay to do. I do not ask people to do to go against anything. I'm just letting you know this type of medication, it's okay to stop. You don't have to worry about it having a huge impact on your child because it doesn't stay in your system. So we took him off the second one and we noticed that it got better. But now that he's been doing that for a while, now I'm noticing the episodes are getting worse again. So now I don't know. She said there is another one, and I think you mentioned the medication that it was, but I can't remember what you said.
Lithium.
Yes. That was the other one that she had mentioned that she said that we could try. The only thing with that one is that we have to keep getting blood work done because they have to
Yeah,
watch
so
the liver
that
enzymes.
lithium is a tough med because that was our choices when we broke off of Abilify was the risperidone, which my hesitation with risperidone at first was the number one side effect is like excessive weight gain.
Yeah.
And I did like a lot of research on that, and Bryson already being like a bigger kid, um, like there's parents saying like their kids were gaining like 80 pounds in a month.
Really?
And I was like,
Wow.
that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that
And
is.
like, um, Bryson's on it for a while now, and he really hasn't gained too much weight.
Well, that's good.
But I will say it definitely does increase the appetite, like big time.
Oh, okay.
We still have to get blood work done. I think it's every 12 weeks for risperidone, but lithium was the other one, and she said, yeah, lithium works really great. It's been around for a really super long time, so it's like proven like effective.
Right.
But you have to cut like almost all sodium out of their diets.
Oh my God, that's going to be so hard.
So like there's like no chips, no crackers,
Oh no,
like
that's going
nothing.
to kill him. I can't do
And
that.
it's literally
That's just going to be another argument for us to have in this house with
yeah,
him.
like
He's not
I
going to
was
get
like,
it.
yeah, you can't like I can't imagine any kid being able to cut that out. Like
No. Mm-mm.
especially like in the states, sodium's in everything.
Yeah. Everything,
Even
literally. Yeah.
even like beverages.
Yeah,
So it's
everything. Yeah.
like it
That
can
that's
make
a
you really
hard one.
sick.
Yeah, see, she didn't tell me that part. She just told me that we had to keep going in to get the blood work. So,
Weekly, yeah.
oh, I
And
don't
that's
know.
to monitor the sodium level. And can you imagine, like, I don't know about you, but my kids do not do well at blood work. Like,
No. No,
so,
no. I mean, they're all pretty they've been getting blood work done so much that their whole lives. So, it's not that bad, but I do have two that don't like it. And that, believe it or not, it's the two oldest girls. So,
yeah, like, I can't imagine, like, every week having to go and get
yeah,
that
where
done.
this was like once a year, but every week,
Wow,
yeah, that's a
yeah.
little crazy. Yeah.
No
So
way.
that's why she said to me, she goes, I don't know if you want to, she's like, I don't know if you want to go through that. She's like, so let's try this one first. So that's why she did this one instead. So I don't know, maybe we'll try and add the second one on again and see what happens. I'm going
There
to
was
talk to
another
her.
one that they had mentioned to me, and if I could figure out what the name is, we'll link it in the description.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't be of Asian descent for it, I guess.
Oh,
Because one of the side effects is if you have any type of Asian descent, you're more likely to, I guess your like skin falls off.
oh God.
There was, and like when she said that, I'm
No, I
like,
don't want to
you
have
have
nothing to
like
do
a
with that.
really, really small amount of like Asian descent, like
No.
3%. And I was like, even that makes me nervous.
Yeah, that
But
makes
she
me
said it really did
nervous.
work well, and it was like a rare thing. I said, listen, rare or not, it's not a
Yeah,
risk I'm willing to
no.
take.
No, thank you. No, thanks. I don't
Yeah,
want to do that. No. Especially that Elijah was allergic to the other one and his skin started turning.
yeah,
I didn't know. Because he'd be the one that would, because his immune system's really bad. That's another
yeah.
story.
Well, I think everybody is right now because
Yeah.
of freaking COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's the
But it
first
might
one.
just
He's
be
the first one that got
metabolizing
COVID in our house. He's the first one who got it and then gave it to his dad.
everyone.
Yeah. It was a mess.
I guess. But
But
maybe he's just metabolizing that Abilify quicker because he has he been on it for a
maybe.
while.
Yeah. Yeah,
If
he
he's
has.
going through a
But you
rough
know what?
time.
She did, like, I have all their pill bottles in front of me. That's how bad I am with medications. But he's on 10 milligrams now. So
Okay.
he was on 5. So she did push it up. I don't know how long ago, though, we did that. So she might be able to do it again. I'm not sure. It depends on the weight, the height and weight, because with a lot of the medications, which,
Yeah.
you have to be
But
really
that's what we
careful.
noticed with Bryson when every time he would hit like a growth spurt or like going into one, his body automatically started metabolizing his medication like
Yeah,
super, super
see?
fast.
Yeah,
And then it wasn't as effective
right.
anymore.
Yeah, so yeah. But the medication that Shay's on because of her ADHD and she can't take the guanfacine is the methylphenidate. And so
Yeah.
is Lillian. Now, Lillian takes both. Lillian takes all three. Lillian takes the methylphenidate, she takes the Abilify, and she also takes guanfacine. Now, Lillian, because the thing with Lillian is that she's very zoned out all the time. So you have to like really get her attention because when you're
Sure.
talking to her, she is not listening to you. You have to say it like
Yeah.
several times. She's really bad with that. They did. Oh, there's a bug. They did check her for brain damage because they did think that she may have that, but she didn't. Thank God.
Yeah.
She's just really slow when it comes to a lot of things, comprehension, anything like that. I mean, she's even slow when she talks. She's like very slow when she talks. And that's why she had to do speech because when she's slow talking, her words get all blah blah blah. Blah. It sounds like blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. It sounds like that. We always used to say like Charlie Brown teacher. That's how she sounded, like
Yeah.
literally. So it was like really weird for us to get that. But she's like right now her methylphenidate she is 30 to 70 CD it's called, and it's 30 milligram capsule she's on. So she's on a high dose for methylphenidate.
Dosage.
Yeah, and she takes it in the morning, and that's it. We don't have nothing in the afternoon, nothing in that. She has her Abilify in the afternoon, and then she has the guanfacine, which is at night before bed, because that one's the slow release. So she gives them all that one at night because it helps them also sleep. Because she has a
Yeah.
hard time sleeping. And it's probably because of the methylphenidate. That's
Oh,
probably,
100%.
yeah. So that helps her to fall asleep. And she still has trouble going to sleep. My kids all have, my doctor has me give them the melatonin, which melatonin is very good for your children because you're producing it. It's in your body anyways.
Yeah.
You're just producing.
Bryson gets that with his
Yes,
clonidine,
yes.
honestly,
Ours
because
do too. Yep, they do.
I actually what I do is because he's on the guanfacine and the clonidine, so both of those lower your blood pressure, so they have to be taken at least 12 hours apart.
Right.
It, I have to give him the melatonin like right at dinner time because melatonin takes a little bit of time to work.
Right.
And what that does, melatonin just basically like relaxes the body.
Yeah, it just relaxes
So-
them to feel sleepy.
Yeah,
basically.
And then I give the clonidine like right when he's like going to lay down in bed.
Right.
But he also gets the larger dose of his risperidone at night, and risperidone can make you a little sleepy too.
Yeah, it can.
I feel like I'm giving my poor kid a horse tranquilizer.
Right.
at night
Yeah,
sometimes, so,
but
like,
it's
honestly,
necessary.
he did.
I know
Yeah,
it's
he-
necessary though. You know?
And I will say, when he used to sleepwalk really badly.
Oh.
And I don't know if it was like something to do with like his ADHD or what it was, but it was like so bad. Like he would like try to leave the house.
Oh my God.
There'd be like times I'd hear like we have like this one stair that creaks.
Yeah.
And I'd always hear it in the middle of the night, and I'd get like up, and he'd be like standing on the stairs. And the first time like I saw it happen, I was like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, Bryce, what are you doing? And he like didn't respond. And then I'm like looking at him, and his eyes are open, but he's like a glazed over look. And I'm
yeah.
like, God damn it, you're sleeping. So, and it was getting to the point like I was putting like gates up so that he couldn't get down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, he's sleeping and fall down those stairs. And
Oh,
it, like,
God.
really hurt.
Yeah.
One time he was sleepwalking so bad that he thought the top of the stair was the bathroom, and he just started peeing down the stairs.
Oh my God.
And I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, so like,
Is he still doing that?
No, he's not.
He's not sleepwalking?
You can't wake somebody up.
No,
when
you
they're
can't.
sleepwalking.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous.
Yes, it
so
is.
For anyone that doesn't know that, do not wake a sleepwalker
Yeah, it's
up.
very dangerous. Yes.
When we started the clonidine, the sleepwalking stopped.
Oh, well.
So I don't know why that is.
Then that could be what it was.
Bryson
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Hi, Bryson.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know
it's good
what
he's
it is.
not
I don't know if
sleepwalking
it's just,
anymore because that's
yeah,
scary.
I think, I don't know if it's just that, like, it makes him so tired that his sleepwalking brain is even too tired to get up, or
Yeah.
if, like, it kind of treats it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
That
was
is
very
weird though.
weird. So,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
then
yeah, thank God for that medication, I will say. He's going to come
yeah.
be really
Yeah.
nosy now. Gonna say hi. Hello.
Hi. Um yeah, so like I was saying, so she's only on the methylphenidate and she's only on she's not on a lot. She's on a little bit. She's less than Lillian. I think she's only on 20 where Lillian's on 30.
Mm-hmm.
But like the only other medication that is different is the one that Chloe's on, and that's because of her schizophrenia, which they won't diagnose. They call it childhood schizophrenia. They will never just say schizophrenia at her
Mm.
age because they won't say it until they're 18, which I
Yeah, which
think
is
is
so stupid.
ridiculous. But like, what has age got to do with you having hallucinations? I don't understand.
Right.
But yeah. So she's on. It's the ziprazidone, and it's 40 milligrams. Now that one, she takes twice a day. So she takes one in the morning and one at night, and that's the max for.
Now, did she is that in like a instant thing, like a stimulant, or did it have to like build
No,
up in
that's a
her body before it
stimulant.
started?
That's a stimulant.
Okay.
So that one, the only reason I know what the stimulants are and what they aren't is because I have to sign for them.
Mm-hmm.
With that, you have to sign a that you are because the psychiatrists don't want to be held responsible or get sued for giving out these medications to these children. So when we go
Right.
in because they're on Medicaid, we have to sign a paper saying that we're authorizing for them to receive this medication as the parent. So
Uh,
that's how I know what's a stimulant and what isn't. That's the only way I know. So, yeah, she's been on that for a while. She was on a different medication, and I cannot remember the name of it. But there was one that she was on for a long time for the schizophrenia that only worked for so long, and then as she grew and got older, it stopped working, and she was having all the hallucinations again. And the hallucinations when I mean hallucinations, she would like see things that you and me would not see.
right.
And she swore that they were there. Most of the time, her hallucinations happen at night. So, most of the medications that she gets are for her to sleep because she gets terrible nightmares all the time. And it all started with this when how do I explain it? Children with schizophrenia, they start out with one thing that they see and then it slowly progresses into more and more people that they see or more and more
Yeah.
things that they see and then they have names. So like she was seeing Zelda for there's first there was Zelda 1, then there was Zelda 1000, Zelda 100 and they just all had numbers attached to them. And that's how we knew that I was very serious with her because it was scaring her and this person like would tell her to do awful horrible things to people that she loves and cares about like
Yeah.
her like all of us and that's how serious it would get like I had to put away all weapons in the house that could be
Yeah.
used as a weapon like knives anything that I think she could use to hurt somebody and
Right.
it got to the point where she was like crying a lot at night and then she would get up and she would scream at this person to go away and they wouldn't go away and yeah it got really scary for a while for us for that and then finally she's on a medication now where she's stable.
That's
She
good.
has not seen Zelda. We slowly got Zelda to go away, not only through the medication, because that doesn't completely help people with schizophrenia. They'll still see things and they'll still be little things. Like it got to the point where Zelda was gone, but what Zelda would do is she would throw her eye, I mean, this may sound weird to people, but it's the truth. She would take her eyeball out and throw it in the bedroom and throw it underneath her bed where she can keep an eye on her all the time.
Mm.
And so we had to come up with like really creative ways with the therapist to get this to stop. And that's when they kept upping the medication, as well as her having the therapy with the therapist and talking it out, figuring out what to do, how to get rid of the Zelda, and all this stuff that was going on with her. Now she's so stable that, like, I can't even tell you, she's so much happier,
Yeah, I
like,
bet.
because she's sleeping at night. She's not
Yeah.
having the nightmares anymore as frequent. She's not seeing anything anymore at night. She's not terrified of something showing up, out of nowhere. So she is like
Did you
doing really
guys,
well.
um, so like, when this was first happening and like she got her diagnosis of schizophrenia, how did you explain it to her? Like, does she understand like the things she was seeing
She was
or
so
yeah,
young.
was seeing
She
was
was
like,
so
does she
young.
understand now? Like,
Now she
the
does.
things that she was seeing,
Yes,
it
we're
wasn't really
not
there.
real. Yeah. And
Okay.
she knows that now more than she ever did.
Yeah.
And like every time she talks to the psychiatrist, because they always ask that same question, are you seeing or hearing anything
Yeah.
that you always hear that question. And she always says, nope, not anymore. And she's like so happy to
So
say it.
happy about it.
Yes. So she knows she's like telling the truth, because before it was kind of like where when she was younger, she'd be afraid to tell us because she knew that it
Right.
wasn't normal. And
Right.
she thought she was going to get in trouble. And, we had to keep telling her, you're not going to get in trouble, honey. We just need
That's
to
not
know
your
so we could
fault. Yeah.
help you so that you don't see this anymore. So we could get rid of her forever, so she'll never come back. And believe it or not, the schizophrenia started after her mom passed. And when she watched an episode, believe it or not, it was Arthur. Arthur, the character Arthur.
Yeah.
She watched a Halloween Arthur, and that's where this Zelda character came from. And then she just took it to a whole different level. And that's what happens with schizophrenia. People can't there's certain things they can't watch because they believe it's so real and that it's
Yeah.
they can't help it. It's their brain. It's just something that's going to happen. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain, and it is inherited, and it runs in her family. So we know that. And she, but there's all different kinds of schizophrenia, just so people know. In adults and children, there's schizophrenia where they feel like people are chasing after them all the time and somebody's always looking for them and they're running for their lives basically.
Yeah.
Or there's ones where they envision and actually see the people and they're there and they're having conversations with them and they're not there. And they either scare them or they can become their friend.
Right.
That's the
And it's
scary
hard when
thing
you're
too.
little, I'd imagine, because like I remember when I was kid, like I had an imaginary
Yeah,
friend,
me
and that's
too.
common in childhood. So like, how
Yeah.
do you, you know,
We knew
without being
because
like evaluated?
Yeah, we knew because, well, first of all, it ran in the family. So we knew
Mm-hmm.
that to be looking for it. And second of all, she was like envisioning and seeing things when she was younger that we would sit there and argue with her that it wasn't there. And she swore up and down that it was, to the point where she was getting so upset and so angry about it that I was
Right.
like, this is not normal. This is not normal. And that's when the therapist came in and she talked to her and she got her to tell us what was really going on. So yeah, but she used to say that her mom used to see her biological mom used to see a pirate, and she used to talk to this
Mm.
pirate all the time. And she brought that up to us not even like a few months ago. We never knew that. And I said, oh my God, it actually stemmed from her mom. Her mom probably had it and was struggling
Yeah.
with it, was never diagnosed, and she self medicated. That's what she did. Or the
Yeah. And that's what a
bipolar,
lot
they
of people
self
do.
medicate yeah, bipolar, they self-medicate. And that's why these drugs are scary sometimes for our kids to be taking, because we got to worry that when they get older that they're not going to get hooked on some of these drugs because
Right,
they're
they're
not
not gonna abuse
good.
the
Yeah, and they're going to abuse
stuff.
it. Yeah, I worry about that all the time. That's like with you,
I
I
do
always read
big
about it.
time because obviously, like so many of these illnesses are passed genetically. I
Yeah.
know your children are adopted, but like at least on my side of the family, like we found out. So my dad didn't really know his biological dad, and
Right.
then we had just like 2 years ago did ancestry DNA, and we were
Uh-huh.
able to find that side of his family.
Oh, wow.
And his biological dad passed away quite a few years ago,
Mhm.
but his sister's still alive, and we connected with
Oh.
her, and she kind of gave us like a whole breakdown of things that ran in the family.
Yeah.
So like bipolar was like one of
Oh,
them,
wow.
um, which you know leads me to believe like with my dad and then my dad's brother
Yes. Mhm.
that
Yeah.
happened.
Very well could be.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
so and because we've discussed before about how it was like mental illness wasn't really talked about
No.
for us growing up,
Yeah.
I have to wonder, like, not to put him out there, but my uncle has a drug issue,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have to wonder if a lot of that was a self-medicating
Yep.
thing
Yeah,
because
it very well could be because a
as
lot of
I've
the
gotten
parents,
older and
that's
I
what they did. A lot of their
right,
parents, they
yeah,
self-medicated. And my kids are like all have these things that were passed down to them. And like thank God that they're with us, because who knows, you know what I mean, what could have happened with them too. Because think about it,
right,
it's just going to keep going. Because like they said,
exactly,
it's so genetic. Like schizophrenia,
yeah.
bipolar, ADHD, it's very much in the gene. And so you just got to be,
Yeah, once we found out like their biological father had it and then it ran in that side of the family, a lot of those things made sense, and I was able to kind of like think back growing up and like remembering situations and like being able to identify like, yeah, that's what this was.
yeah.
And I think a lot of the stuff that happened when they grew up was them self-medicating
Yep.
because they didn't know how to deal with it, they didn't know how
No.
to talk about it.
Yep.
And then like you said, like you have to really worry about it becoming like a lifelong addiction.
Yep.
And in my uncle's case, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And it's scary because I think like about Bryson and him having bipolar and like all these medications, they really can cause a habit. And then knowing that drug addiction is also genetically passed,
Yes, it
like
is.
that
Yes.
addict trait is passed,
Yeah, do you
makes
know
me
what they
just
told
scared.
me? They told me, the psychiatrist told me straight out. She said, your kids hang out with one wrong person and take a
Yeah,
drug, they are automatically going to be addicted because they were all in the womb while they
yeah,
were using. That's
yeah.
all it takes.
And because addictive personality is passed down, and like you see even with just like ADHD, like we've talked about, and with autism, how they get like almost
Yeah.
addicted to topics and they
Yes.
obsess about it.
Yes.
It's the same thing with drugs.
Yep.
That like
Same
it's
thing.
an instantaneous thing. Like it makes you feel like those subjects and things they talk about make them feel happy and they get a serotonin boost.
Yep.
And that's the same thing that could happen if they take a drug or even alcohol.
Yeah.
It's
Even
a
alcohol.
serotonin boost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's scary to like really think about.
Yeah, cause like when Shay was she was only 6 months old. We just got her, and we noticed when I took her for her appointment at the doctor's, the doctor noticed that her lip, she doesn't have like these indents. I forget what they call it, but they don't
Yeah.
have this here. So it's just all smooth. So that's a first sign of alcohol syndrome. So
Fetal alcohol.
yeah, so and her mom was drinking and doing drugs and while she had her in the womb. So when we took her, we had to go to a specialist at Nemours Hospital here in Orlando, and she had to see if she believed that she, had this problem. But when we went, she did all the tests and she said she doesn't, but she said you still have to watch when she gets older. Just because
Yeah.
6 months old, they can diagnose it in you that young, they can diagnose it in you in a lot older too. So she
Right.
said, if you notice anything like delays with school or like with the ADHD problem or anything like that, bring her back and we'll have to reevaluate. But
Right.
we haven't yet because I don't think that because I don't think Shay has a learning problem, and with alcohol
Right.
syndrome, it's mostly learning issues, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have that issue. So I don't think that's the problem. Her problem is mostly focusing, like Lillian, and paying attention and stuff like that, and being overstimulated in a classroom with a bunch of kids. So she's better, the way she is because she's so active and like has to constantly be moving and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think she has the alcohol syndrome because it's kind of like the opposite. They
Yeah.
more want to get into trouble. They're very
Risk
they're
taker.
risk takers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and she doesn't have like those. So I don't think it's there for her.
Yeah. That's why I think it's like so important that we're like discussing this stuff now and like, you know, making sure like parents discuss these things with their
It's
kids.
so
You
important.
know,
It's so
because like if your kid
important.
doesn't like the kids are still pretty young right now to like, Bryson's getting to the age now like I have to start talking to him about like drugs and alcohol and stuff
Right,
as he
yeah.
becomes a teenager
Of
because
course.
peer pressure, it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. That's
Yep.
what happens, and really having to explain it more in depth than most parents would
Yeah.
because of the medications he takes
Right.
and the potential to become addicted to things.
Right.
Like it's so important to like really make sure you educate your kids on this
Yes.
because it could really ruin their lives if they get sent out and they don't know.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
like they're gonna see friends do it, they're gonna want to do it to fit in too. It's just any
Yeah.
kid. It doesn't matter
Any
who
kid.
they are.
No.
Every kid wants to fit in, and they
Yep.
will do things to fit in. But if you can educate your kid and be like, "Hey, this is the reality of what could happen to
Yeah.
you,"
Yeah.
like
Actions and consequences.
Yeah,
That's what we
can
talk
really
about all the
prevent.
time. Yep. That's all we talk about in our house, especially the therapist. She always says, look at your actions. Well, now you got to
Yeah,
face the consequences. So if you do this, this could happen. If you do that, that could happen. My kids know. They all know. I mean, Shay, not so much because she doesn't really understand yet. But because she's only, she's 7, like she kind of understands, but I don't think she really cares right now.
no, and she wouldn't. Like that's a
Yeah,
typical
yeah,
7-year-old.
she's just not interested. She don't really care. But like Lillian, Elijah, I especially talk about it a lot with Elijah because of his actions when he gets angry and mad. I said, "Do
Mm-hmm.
you understand what could happen when you're out in the world and you're older and you act this way?" I'm like, there's so
Yeah,
many things that could happen to you because people don't know that you're walking around with these problems. They don't understand
yeah,
why you're acting the way you are. So you have to try to control it now at this age
exactly.
because when you get older, it can get much worse. So that's why
Yeah,
you're on these medications. Now, my kids know that they need their medication and we
yeah,
make it known in this house. You need your medication because this, and they understand it. Believe it or not, Chloe knows. The minute there's times we forget, sometimes we're doing something or we're out and we didn't bring medications with us,
hmm
and so we're
yeah.
out in the middle of the day, so we're like, okay, we're like an hour late, and even an hour late, we know
That's all it takes.
that's all it takes. It could take 30
Yep.
minutes even, okay? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, because we'll be out doing something and then we'll be like, oh my God, I forgot the medications at home. I didn't put in my purse. We're at the beach and they're all acting crazy. And I mean, like
Yep.
running around, like really getting out of hand. Or one's
Yep.
tired and cranky, and it's just like, okay, it's time to go because we forgot the
Yeah.
medicine and we can't stay here anymore. Yeah,
No.
we
Yeah.
have to cut things short sometimes because,
Yeah, you get that immediate like sinking feeling like, oh no, I forgot.
yeah,
As I said there, and it's
and then
like,
you notice every little thing they do. Yeah, and then you're
yeah.
noticing every little thing they do, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah, because like Chloe will, like, I'll give you for instance. So like we'll be out to dinner and like we're gonna come home and take the medicine, but like it's an hour later or whatever. She'll start boo 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 boo. Like she does not stop.
hmm
Like I swear, and she can't. Like she's like so fast. Like the Energizer Bunny rabbit, that's her. She's like going,
Yeah.
and she's not gonna stop, and it's just like chatter. She's just chattering away, And like Lillian will be like more like kind of like she's not like an energizer. She's not really that type of ADHD. She's the more like she's out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she'll like we'll be walking to the car and she'll like bend down on the ground to pick up an ant or like examine something on the ground. Like that's it's just ridiculous with her. Like it's fun, it's kind of funny but not funny. And then like with Shay will just be doing cartwheels all over the place and like
Yeah.
just acting crazy. And Zoe gets very moody. Yeah, I forgot to talk
That's
about Zoe.
Bryson.
Yeah, Zoe gets very moody. Elijah will get moody and cranky. I just want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my
Everything is
God.
adorable.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's just like, you know, we're like, Zoe's very moody, but Zoe's also going through like that, like, I think she's going to be getting her what you call it very soon because she's like at that point, like, where it's happening every month and it's at the same time every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think it's because she looks like way older and acts way older than her age. She's only 10. And
Yeah.
if you look at her, you might think she's 15. I mean, that's,
Right.
and her maturity level is way up there. So, like, she's the one, though, in my house that has a horrible anxiety. So she just recently got diagnosed with ADHD because we figured something else was going on there too. So they reevaluated her for us because her evaluation was when she was a lot younger with the anxiety, and she still has the anxiety though. But like with her, she's very forgetful.
Hmm.
So her anxiety like pushes her to the point where she'll forget things, and like she'll like if she has a test and she knows the test is coming. She knows it. She knows it. Like if I test her, she'll know it. But if she has to do it with the teacher on the because we homeschool on
Yeah.
the video, she blanks right out. And
Hmm.
the only good thing about being in homeschooling and doing it on the computer with those teachers is that they have an understanding of these kids because most of them that are homeschooled have issues like my children
Right.
and they understand it. And they also have children who have autism or are diagnosed with anxiety or depression or any ADHD or whatever. Like most of those teachers that I talk to that take care of my kids and that are their teachers, they understand. They totally
Which is
understand.
nice because a lot of teachers don't
Yeah, it
understand.
really is because it's such a like a I it just makes me feel better because it's like wow, they're going to really take their time with them and understand that they might have blanked out because of their anxiety, you know. And they'll help them to get to that point where they feel more comfortable and then she doesn't have to worry about it. They're not on time, they're not timed. No, none of that stuff's going on. So it helps
Yeah.
take the pressure off and she feels so much more relief with the homeschooling than she did being in school because in school she
Yeah,
was
it's
just
really nice.
a wreck. She was a
I
wreck.
actually just on Thursday pulled Bryson for the rest of the school year and we're doing virtual
Oh,
learning with
really?
him. Yeah, just because I mean, there's only 2 weeks left of school anyways, and with any kid by this time of the school year, they're
They're
like
ready to
over
be
it
done.
anyways.
Yeah.
But he's just getting like more. So he's going to a different school next year because he
Right.
really needed that fresh start.
Yeah.
So I think he like knows that, and
Yeah.
like so now he's like got this attitude about like I don't really care what I do at this school anymore because I'm not coming
Because he
back
knows
here
he's not
type of
going
thing.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I could see that.
I was just tired of like phone calls home and
Yeah.
like hearing about like kids. So on Thursday there was like a whole thing where a student threw his laptop and his desk across the room and he reacted poorly, which I don't know who wouldn't
Yeah.
react
Mm-hmm.
poorly to
Yeah.
that. Um, so they ended up calling me, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna pull him the rest of the school year. Because honestly, I'm tired of these other kids constantly like, picking at him because they know he's easily explosive and they think
Yeah.
it's like a game.
Yeah.
Um, so we're just gonna. He's doing everything like on Google Classroom. There was a teacher at the school that volunteered to sit with him
Oh,
for
that's
2 hours
good.
a day.
Oh, that's good.
yeah, so like he's really not missing anything. It's not like they're
It's the
doing
end of the
much at the
school
end of the school
year.
year.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is it gonna hurt? He
Yeah.
just needs like that break. He has anxiety too, and it was making him more anxious and more miserable being there.
Yeah. I can
And I'm
imagine.
like, it's like my kid's mental health is way more important than being physically at school at this point. Like I'm
Absolutely.
not
Yeah.
even like trying to do it anymore. Like I'm exhausted, he's exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm sure the school's exhausted by everything that goes on.
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
Now, does he have an IEP?
He does,
He
yeah.
does. Yeah,
So he
that's
had a
good.
504 since first grade. And we actually just got the IEP this year.
Yeah, see, they won't give
That's
IEPs here. They won't give
really.
them here. No. They're terrible with it.
We just did the evaluation, but I think what I'm going to do um, for next, so like, because he's going to a different school, they'll reevaluate him again
Right.
after, I want to say
Oh,
it's
it
like 3
doesn't get
months.
carried with him? It doesn't
It,
go with him with.
it, it will,
Oh, okay.
but the IEP that they did for him was based on like what they were seeing where he currently is at,
Oh, okay.
and a lot of trigger points. That's a lot of kids triggering him. So I didn't feel like it was written the way it needed
It
to
should have
be.
been. Yeah.
Because they had suggested he be put in an 811 class, which I don't think he needs. I think he just needs more understanding kids, more kids that aren't going to purposely like try to irritate him.
Right.
So after 3 months, I can request like that there's a new evaluation done in the new school setting,
Yeah.
which is what think I'm gonna do. But for now, I gave the new school his 504 plan to base off, so they'll rewrite it for him, and hopefully like that'll be enough. Cause like he's got a great 504. It's like 2 pages long. It's really nice.
We have to
There's a
talk
lot of
more
stuff in
about
it.
this new school one of these
Yes,
times because I'm really
we will.
interested in knowing more about it. I don't know if they have schools like that here though. Um, because I would love to look into something like that for Elijah if I
Yeah,
could when
we'll
he
definitely
like
get
for
into the
middle
504s
school.
and IEPs.
Yeah.
One episode will do school and IEPs and stuff because getting an IEP is a lot more complicated than getting a 504. I will
Yeah, it
say.
is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm hoping it helps with his anxiety. Um, he takes Lexapro for his anxiety.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's so hard to tell if it's like so Lexapro treats anxiety and depression,
Yeah.
and well, like
Well, like Zoe's
I
on.
guess it's kind of hard to say if it's anxiety or if it's this part of like this autism thing
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he's,
well,
he's really anxious about like the things he gets anxious about are like schedules. So like if I will say for instance I told him I'm going to pick you up from school early today at 1 o'clock because you have a doctor's appointment.
right.
Okay, cool. He'll look at the clock at school and be like 1:04 and I'm not there yet. He starts
Oh,
getting
so that
he's
stuff
like, oh
bothers
my
him.
god,
Mm-hmm.
it's 1:04. She must be dead. She must have gotten into a car accident. Where is she?
That's
Like,
that's Zoe. Yes, Zoe gets very upset
yeah,
about anything like that, or she'll get upset about like if one of us is sick, is just sick. It could be any little thing. Like it's just very. She gets
yeah.
overly
So
worked up
they
about it.
say like that kind of stuff is like an autistic trait too. So like when they started him on Lexapro for anxiety, because I was like, he gets anxious about like so much stuff. Like he definitely like thinks about like worst possible scenario all the time,
Yeah.
and that kind of contributes to like depression. Um,
Did
but
you
then like it being the autistic trait, I'm like, which is it? Like it's hard to
did
say.
you know
That
that
kid sounds like
there
Leprechaun
is one
himself.
of the medications that my kids are on that it actually is supposed it's been shown to help with autism as well. Um
Hmm.
it's the oh my gosh, which one was it? I think it's the Abilify. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, that didn't work for him.
It
I'm hoping
it
like
can
once he
also
goes for his
treat
evaluation.
irritability associated with autism. That's what it does.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I'm hoping once he gets his evaluation done, if they do like formally diagnose him with autism, maybe we can pull him off some of these medications because he like literally on so much stuff, and he
He is on a lot.
gets upset about it. You
Yeah.
know, like naturally I would too. You know,
Yeah.
I'm an adult and I'm not even on that much stuff.
Well, the thing is
But
that with Elijah, it just seems like he's on all this medication, but he's not. You think he would be so good. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
but it's just not. It's not happening. It's just,
I,
it's a
I like that's
constant
what
struggle,
surprises.
and it's gonna be. I mean, even the therapist warned me. She's like, just so you know, when they get older, the ones that are bipolar and will be diagnosed bipolar when they're older, they're going to be on like 6 to 7 different medications.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, I was
never
asked to
ending.
pull him off of things. They're like, well, if you pull him off of this, you
Yeah,
could do that.
yeah,
So
that's
I'm
the
like, well,
whole
I don't want
thing.
that to happen. So it's like, and she's like, and you won't know until you do pull them off.
Yeah,
And then like because most besides stimulants, the rest of the medications are those medications that have to build up in your system, which means they have to unbuild out of your system.
yeah,
So like
exactly.
you don't know for weeks if it was effective or not.
No.
Really?
And that's the scary part of the whole thing, too, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And I
I
don't
don't want
want
to
him to
pull off
be.
something and then like it triggers like all this stuff,
Right.
and then like then you have to reintroduce it, and then he's going to be like that for weeks, and you're
Yep,
like, shit.
yep,
You know?
exactly. It's terrible. I know. But yeah, so, well, should we end it there?
Yeah. So that's
Yeah, there's
our
a
little
lot.
med
Like,
run.
we could go on
Um,
and on about medication because there's just so much about it. And
and I'm sure we will as our kids get older, even throughout like this next year
oh, yeah.
with therapies. And you know, you're saying how Elijah he might need something
Yep,
different, so
yep,
that's going to be something new. Bryson
yep.
with his autism evaluation. Um,
Just
yeah,
know
so
that you
just
guys are out there and you're not alone because we go through this
no,
all the time. And it's just a constant battle with
and we know it's
medications
hard.
and, yeah, constantly.
It's hard to decide to even be put on a medication for your kids.
Yes.
I know it's like a scary thing. I was terrified to do it.
Yeah,
I held off as long as possible.
yeah,
But as a parent, like, if this just therapy's not working, just
yeah.
being for them's not working, your kid will start to struggle.
Yeah, we did
And you know
behavioral
that's just
therapy
not
for a
good.
long time, and it was not enough. It wasn't enough. And when you see that your kids are struggling, you're just not doing them any favors by
No,
prolonging it
you're
because
really
it's just
not.
hurting them. It's just hurting
Yeah.
them. Because
Don't feel
honestly,
ashamed to
yeah,
use medication.
there's no shame because my kids actually know and they understand and they actually feel when they haven't taken their medication, especially my older
Mm-hmm.
ones. They know, they're like, Mom, you forgot to give us our medication. They feel weird. They actually feel
Yeah.
different. So if they're noticing that now, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing because they're going to know it when they get older that they really need that medication to,
Yep.
function in society and be normal, to try to be a normal
Yep.
person. So yeah, it's very important. I was totally against it too in the beginning, but I learned that I had to suck it up and be like, okay, I'm taking
Yep.
medication for anxiety. I'm not ashamed. I take it for
Yeah, me
depression
neither.
too. I have depression too. So,
Me
I
too.
mean, you got to do what you got to
And
do to stay healthy,
one thing
especially
I will
mentally
say, my
healthy.
psychiatrist,
Huh?
something my psychiatrist said that stuck with me for Bryson was medication doesn't have to be forever. There's
No,
no harm in trying it. If you
exactly.
don't like it, you can always stop it,
Yeah.
but you don't know until you try.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know until you try. And when the kids notice it too, that's when you know, when they
Important.
say, oh,
Like,
it's
listen to
helping
your
me.
kids.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's the biggest
absolutely.
thing I can say as a parent. Like, listen to what your child is saying to you.
Yes,
I know you might not feel comfortable with putting your kid on medication, but if your child is telling you they are struggling or they are miserable, you need to pull out the guilt
yeah,
and put yourself in their shoes.
yes,
Like, you want what's best for your kid, and sometimes it's medication,
yeah.
so don't feel bad about it.
Yep, exactly. Because it's very important. And it's only going to help your child because when they get older and they're not on that medication, it's going to be even harder. I know plenty of people
Absolutely.
out there that got diagnosed with just ADHD in their adulthood and they're struggling because of it. So
Yeah.
it's better when they're younger, way better
Yeah,
when they're
getting
younger.
used to it. educate them when they're young.
Yep.
And they'll have those coping mechanisms when they're older to know like what works for them and what doesn't.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And they'll succeed better, and they'll succeed. I mean, they can. There's lots of people out there with. I mean, let's face it. Bipolar is very. It's kind of like the ADHD now. It's very common.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of to say that your child is bipolar or your child, because it's okay, I mean, it's just, I know people that schizophrenia, it can happen in a snap. I could snap tomorrow and I could be schizophrenic, okay? And I'll just give you one example. My husband's nephew, who is in his 20s, did not know was working 3 jobs. I said this before. And then he disappeared for a whole day, didn't know what happened to him. They were worried sick about him. It was not like him at all. It was out of character. And he snapped, and he has schizophrenia. And now, yeah, I mean, he had to, go backwards a little bit, but he's doing okay. He's stable, and he has family surrounding him and helping him out, and he's doing much better. So, I mean, it's a scary thing, but it happens to a lot of people, and there shouldn't be any shame in mental health. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about it. We want you guys to come in the conversation. So don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. We are on. I have to upload more on TikTok. Sorry, guys. I've been a little slow with that, but I will get more up. Little clips you'll see on TikTok. And then we're on Spotify, and we're on YouTube. And don't forget to go in our Facebook group. That's so important because you guys can go on there and chat with us. Ask us questions. Or ask us to talk about something maybe that we haven't thought about talking about yet that we could talk about, So, yeah, just let us know. And everything, I don't know how you do it on Spotify because I don't know about that, but on YouTube in the description box, I always list all of our social media platforms. So the Facebook group's in there, the link, the Spotify, and then also TikTok. So you guys will see that all in there. So check it out. Everybody's welcome. We just want to have open conversations about everybody's mental health and kids, because it's very common nowadays and it needs to be discussed. So
Absolutely, sure does.
all right. So what about next week? Anything for next week that you could think of, Cassie, that we could talk about? Or
So since we kind of touched on IEPs and 504s,
Yeah.
in school in general, we will definitely get into that, and
Okay.
I will take you on the long journey that was 504s and IEPs.
Oh, tell me about it. Me too. Me too. All right, you guys. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.